Hey, what's up everyone? Aaron here with ABTX Outdoors, down at my 100-yard range. I'm doing a little work this morning and I want to showcase two different things. Went into the gun vault, brought out one of my old 300 Blackouts in an AR platform, got it suppressed. Honestly, haven't shot this gun in years and have not shot it suppressed. It was purchased back when it first came out and just really never used it. That's when you know you have a gun problem, when you have too many guns. But what I wanted to do today is showcase this DNT optic HYDRA. This is the HS650R. So mounted this on this rig here. I thought this would be the perfect application for pig hunting, varmint hunting at night, which those videos will be coming, but got to get this sighted in. So stick around, let's get this sucker sighted in. All right, so the goal today is to sight in the DNT optic HYDRA unit. This is a cool thermal unit. It's actually a 3-in-1 capabilities. You can use it just as a regular handheld device to scan and look for predators or for whatever you want to look at it that gives off a heat source. So far, my first evaluations of it at night when I've played with it, it is amazing. Compared to some of my older units, this one is really, I would have to say, in the price points, there's some out there that are just extremely high. This comes in at a price point right there at that mid-tier level, but it's still giving you that high quality thermal image, which I am going to hopefully be able to demonstrate and record while I'm sighting in today. Of course, I am in Texas. It does heat up fast. Not sure what kind of imaging I'm going to get, but once I get this sighted in, we are going to go out to my property where I have tons of pigs. So yeah, check out all the pigs here. So definitely have a lot of targets of opportunity that we'll be able to utilize at night. Just the problem that I've had is it's been so stinking hot here in East Texas with the humidity and being 100+ degrees that it just makes it hard to do videos. Your equipment overheats, your gun overheats, you overheat, and you're just one big sweaty mess on camera. But anyway, before it gets too hot, I am here 8 o'clock in the morning to get this up and rolling. So got a target at 50 yards. I have put a piece of white duct tape on the target. I always try to offset the target with something different so that way it does differentiate through the thermal imager, and hopefully that will come out when we're looking through the scope when I'm recording it. So I'm going to get it sighted in on that. This is the first time I'm using the DNT HYDRA, which again is that 3-in-1 HYDRA. You can use it as a clip-on feature, the standalone feature, or as well, standalone is how I have it now, or just as a regular binocular just to scout and look through. So I know I want to make another video with it as a clip-on unit, especially on my Barrett MRAD. I think that would be cool with a 300 PRC, clipping that on, shooting it out to 1,000 yards. Stick around, I'll eventually make that video as well. But today, it's on a 300 Blackout suppressed, so this is gonna be fun. I've never shot this gun suppressed, so I'm excited. Yes, I have a gun problem. I have too many guns, they go in the closet, then they don't get utilized for years. And then I end up with a slew of suppressors, and I've never put a suppressor on there until now. Thanks to the guys over in Athens at Back 40 Firearms, they were able to help me get the muzzle brake that was on this 300 Blackout off. I didn't have the right setup to do it, but all right, enough talking. Just wanted to give you a scenario. We're shooting out to 50 yards, and then from there, we're stretching out to 100 yards. That will be hopefully my effective range with the 300 Blackout. I know you can push it further, but we're here in East Texas. This is gonna be perfect. So stick around, I will show you exactly what ammo I'll be using. It's gonna be some of the Hornady suppressed stuff. So let me get set up here on the range and let's get going. All right, here we are. We are at the bench. I'm using, eventually what I wanna use is this 300 Blackout Hornady subsonic ammo. This is what I really wanna use. But just for sighting in purposes, I'm going to be using the 300 Blackout Federal Blue Box. This is a 150 grain jacketed soft point. So this is what I'll be using just to get this thing sighted in. Hopefully it won't take too long, but this is my first time sighting this in. All right, here we go. Scope is on. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some hearing protection on just as a precaution. 150 grains. I know we'll be leaving the muzzle a little bit faster. Got 5 rounds loaded up in here, so let's just see how close we are at the 50-yard target. This does have a magnification to it. Let's go ahead and use that feature to zoom in. I like the 5. We'll start with the 5. Oh, not a good start to my AR that's been put away. Let's try this again. Sorry, had some technical difficulties here at the very beginning. Turn the scope back on. I do have my Garmin out as well, just to show you all the speeds of this Fedro 150. All right. We go ahead. I'm on 5 power zoom. I'm going to hit the record. All right, we're recording on the scope. And let's get on there. The cool thing, it has an anti-cant device in this thermal scope where it shows if you're really out of cant. So that's a cool feature. All right, I'm aiming at that piece of tape. All right, you can see I hit right there with that thermal. You can see I am down and low. All right. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, go into the settings and adjust that, and I'll be right back with you guys. All right, that was so quick and simple with the settings. All right, got the other camera rolling. It is a little loud with these 150s. In fact, I had set the Garmin up for 1,700 feet per and slower, and it's not registering. So it might be going a little tad faster, but all right, let's try this one more time. There it is. And I like that 0. That was so quick. That was so quick and easy. All right, that was a good impact. It's just a tad bit high, but I'm okay with that because at 100 yards, that should be really spot on. So I do like the way that looks. I just noticed that in my recording that it must be set up for another feature set of recording, because it started to record again when I shot. So I apologize on that. But let's reload and see if we can duplicate that. I have the other camera rolling. Hopefully it picked up. It did not. I knew it didn't. All right, let's do it again. Again, this is this is just what I do. I put a target down there, and then I want something to offset the target. So I put some duct tape, white duct tape, as my aiming point, and that's what you see that's glowing black that I'm holding dead center on. All right, let me start the recording here. All right, here we go. That's good. Except I'm having a heck of a time with my cheap gun jamming with these subsonics. That's probably why I haven't used it in a long time. But the good thing is we are zeroed in. Been having some feeding issues, and it might just because of this magazine with this gun. I probably should have brought another magazine to try. Probably would have helped it feed a little bit better. But anyway, I just shot 2 times at my zero, which has done exactly what I wanted it to do. So I'm happy with the grouping so far, but we're going to go ahead and load up the remaining balances, the shots here. You know, the one thing I want to let everyone know is just how simple this was to zero. I mean, if all scopes could be that easy. You freeze the frame where you aim at your point of aim, and then you dial it to your point of impact with the X and Y axis, and it's that simple. And then my first shot was a little high. The second shot was just a tad low. The width of duct tape is what I have out there. So as long as it's grouping within that duct tape that I put there, I'm happy with that. This is all this gun is meant to use for, is just a little varmint and hog gun. So I don't need it to be precise. I just need it to be a little woodland varmint pig gun is all it's intended for. But I will use the subsonic ammo here in a second and test that out. But let me start the other camera up. Let me run these other rounds through it real quick, and let's see what happens. All right, the other camera is on, and weirdly enough, my Garmin isn't picking up the speeds. So it's saying it should be 19. It's just shy. It's just not picking it up because it's set for 1700. So that's why it's not picking it up. All right, no big deal. Let me go ahead and get the rest of these shots off on this just to see how it groups. As long as my stupid gun will feed correctly. Let's go ahead and hit record here. All right, we're recording here. All right, here we go. That hit exactly where the last one hit. Looks like I fed good. Let's go ahead and duplicate that shot. All right, keep it going. Yep. And I ended up with a jam. As Kentucky Ballistics would say, you've been jammed. And I've been jammed. I got 2 shots left, and I got a jam. Dang, I hate that. I need to go back and, more likely, I need to clean this gun really well, and that would probably fix the issue and try another magazine. All right. I feel like that's grouping very well. In fact, you will see it before I do. Got the other camera recording, but I have a feeling it's a tad low. So I might want to go ahead and adjust that, but before I do, I'm going to shoot the subsonic ammo in it and see how that performs. All right, I adjusted the zero. I went in here and I accidentally was correcting it like I would a traditional scope, moving it up. And on these scopes, it's so simple. You freeze the frame on your point of aim, and then you dial it and direct it with the X and Y axis down to the point of impact. And that's as simple as it is. So I went ahead, got that done. I lifted it up, or it was shooting down about 1 inch. So I went down, so hopefully now the impacts will be up higher. And I got my other camera rolling. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shoot at the left bottom corner. I can barely make out that there is a difference because of the color. And all I want to do is just see if it's now grouping higher before I start using this subsonic ammo. All right, so the bottom left corner of the target is where we're aiming at. Can I record through here? hit record. All right, bottom left corner. We are on it. It still might be a little low favoring. That is so neat how you can see the impacts even on a regular sheet of paper because of the heat of the bullet. So you can get by in a pinch if you're trying to sight it in and didn't have anything to offset. But again, use something. Even tin foil, if you cut out little pieces of tin foil and just scotch tape it to a target, that gives you a difference on the piece of paper. But anyway, I like that, and now we're going to go ahead and switch over to subsonic ammo. All right, now we got Hornady subsonic, and this is the 190 grain? 190 grain sub X. This is what the projectile looks like. Nice little tip on there. So we got this loaded up. We'll go ahead and throw this one in the pipe. Now I do have the Garmin back on because I was using the setting for sub velocities at 1700 feet per second slower, and the Federal was shooting faster. That's why it wasn't registering, which is fine, but I got it dialed in with the Federal. It's cheaper ammo to use as sighters, so that's perfectly fine. So let me go ahead and I'm going to aim again at the middle of the target where the duct tape is at, is what we're going for. I'm going to shoot it once without any hearing protection just to see, because this is supposed to be right close to a little over 1,000 feet per second. Let's see how quiet it is. See if you can tell on the recording as well. All right, I am recording through the scope. I'm aiming dead center. It is low, 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 but wow, very quiet. Very quiet, and when you know, I got a jam. You've been jammed. I'm gonna have to change magazines. I'm pretty sure that is my issue. It's just this magazine is causing all sorts of heck. But I know exactly where that hit. I'm gonna change my zero. All right, the first shot with the subsonic ammo was at 1,079 feet per second. It did shoot about 4 inches lower than the 150 grain, which again, I knew that was to be expected. I do not need hearing, even underneath this canopy. That is the cool thing about how whisper quiet this can be with a suppressor. So I am pretty excited about that. Get out of my zeroing menu here. All right, now let's see if we're back. Again, I got a white piece of duct tape as my aiming point. That's indicated as the black rectangle on the target. All right, let's get on it and see what it does. Bullseye. Perfect correction, so can't complain. All right, just got the other camera rolling. Now we're going to change our setup a tad bit here. We're going to go out to 100 yards using the subsonic ammo. Get the scope up and going again. I wish I would have brought another magazine. This one is causing me some feed issues. All right, I'm at 100 yards. Need to focus it. The focus is up here on the front. That works. I can see my tape. We're loaded. See if we can get one at 100 yards. Cord. All right, 100 yards. All right. If I am seeing that correctly, it looks like it hit at the very bottom of the paper. And of course, I have another jam because just such a low recoil, it's jamming. But let me check my other camera and see exactly where that hit. All right, we were 6 inches low at 100 yards. I have gone in and adjusted the zero already. I've also changed the palette to Blackout. It makes it just where I can see it just a tad bit easier. All right, we're going to record and shoot again. All right, holding on that little light spot. I'm going to confirm on the other camera. All right, that's showing 2 inches high. 2 inches high at 100. Let me just shoot one more to confirm. All right, shot 2 at 100 yards was actually on target. It was just about an inch to the right of the center. Let me go ahead, shoot another one to see what happens. That one looked like it went high again. Let's shoot one more. That one looks like it was right on the money. So again, am I expecting this to be one of my precise competition guns? No, by no means. Will that kill a coyote or a pig at 100 yards? All day long. All day long. All right, so I'm happy with where we're at 100 yards. I'm going to go back to the 50 now with my 100 yard zero and see where it impacts, where the point of impact is at 50 yards. All right, at 50 yards. Okay, looks about 6 inches high at 50 yards. Okay, I have sighted in at 100 yards and at 50 yards, creating 2 profiles within this HYDRA. That's the cool thing about the scope. Since it was about a 6-inch difference between 50 to 100 yards, I don't want to really use a holdover. I'm going to know at night if we're 50 yards away from something, so I can just switch to profile 2 in the camera really quick in the scope and use it at that. So that's pretty neat. But I do have 3 shots left. I'm just tightening up my groups at 100 yards. So I wanted to bring you along for that. Hopefully we'll get this on the money here. Just been fine-tuning it. So let's see what this goes for. That hit a little bottom left. It was shooting high and left. Let's see. Second shot. Right there. I like that. Like that. All right, last shot. I think we're going to live with that. All right, so that wraps it up for this video. Please like, subscribe, follow my channel. The HYDRA HS650R, the 3-in-1 thermal optic by DNT Optics. What a cool scope. So have it on a 300 Blackout here. So what I ended up doing is creating two profiles within the scope. Profile 1 is my 100-yard zero. Profile 2 is my 50-yard zero. So that way, when we're hunting at night, especially for pigs, I know locations that I'll be within 50 yards. I can just use my second profile in this scope, and I'll be right on the money. And if I need to stretch it out to 100 yards, it's as simple as switching over to the number 1 profile. Now, the cool thing is you have multiple different reticles within the scope. So the profile 2 for my 50-yard is actually an MOA style reticle. So I can hold over in that reticle if I do need to make quick extended yard shots out to 100 by using that reticle at 50-yard zero. I can use it. So that is a really cool thing about this HYDRA. So thank you for watching me zero this gun in. Sorry for all of the jams. I need to clean this gun really good and use another magazine because it was not liking the magazine I was using today. But 300 Blackout suppressed. What an awesome gun. It's so super quiet, especially with the Hornady subsonic ammo. Looking forward to taking it out and bringing you more filming, actually hunting and doing some real life varmint control. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. All right, we're recording here. All right, here we go. That hit exactly where the last one hit. Looks like I fed good. Let's go ahead and duplicate that shot. All right, keep it going.